Hey there! Let me tell you an intriguing story that took place 2,346 years ago. It's about the legendary Alexander the Great, a man who died in Babylon after a wild night of heavy drinking. But what's so special about him? Well, my friend, buckle up because we're about to dive into the captivating tale of a man who conquered the world before he even turned 30. Picture this. It all began in 356 BC in a city called Pella, the capital of Macedonia, to the north of Greece. Young Alexander had an extraordinary upbringing. He was tutored by none other than the renowned Greek philosopher Aristotle, and fueled by his mother Olympias, who instilled a burning ambition in him. Some even claimed he was the son of Zeus himself. Talk about a divine lineage. Now let's not forget about Alexander's father, Philip II. Despite being overshadowed by his son's fame, Philip was the perfect man for the job. When he came to power in 359 BC, Macedonia was in dire straits, threatened by Thrace, Illyria, and even the Greek cities. It was teetering on the edge of collapse. But Philip stepped up to the plate and turned things around. Under Philip's reign, Macedonia became the most powerful state in the region. He subdued Thrace and Illyria, defeated the Greek cities, and effectively became the leader of Greece. This guy was an incredible diplomat, an inspired general, and a sharp reformer. The stage was set for greatness. However, tragedy struck in 336 BC when Philip was assassinated by a bodyguard named Pausanias. The assassin craved fame, and what better way to achieve it than by killing the most famous man alive? As a result, the young 20-year-old Alexander was thrust into the role of king. With his kingdom secure, the Balkans under control, and the Greeks united, Alexander embarked on the campaign his father had prepared, an invasion of the mighty Persian Empire. For 2 centuries, these wealthy Persians had been the mortal enemies of the Greeks. It was time for Alexander to make his move. With his battle-hardened Macedonian soldiers and a circle of competent generals by his side, Alexander pushed eastward. He swept through modern-day Turkey, heading straight for Mesopotamia, the heart of the Persian Empire. His advance was rapid and unstoppable. During this time, there's a fascinating myth surrounding Alexander. In a place called Gordium, there was a famously intricate knot tying an ox cart to a post. Legend had it that whoever could untie it would rule Asia. Now what did Alexander do? He stepped up to the challenge, took out his sword, and simply cut through the Gordian knot. Talk about a bold move. But the Persian Emperor Darius III wasn't about to let Alexander conquer his empire without a fight. He gathered his vast armies from across the nations he ruled, ready to halt Alexander's advance. The two forces clashed at the Battle of Issus near the Turkish-Syrian border. And guess what? Alexander emerged victorious, securing a clear and resounding win. Darius, realizing the futility of his situation, offered Alexander a deal. He proposed peace and offered to give Alexander half his kingdom. One of Alexander's generals, Parmenion, said he would accept the terms if he were in Alexander's shoes. You know what Alexander replied? "So would I if I were Parmenion." That's the kind of witty response you'd expect from a true conqueror. After the Battle of Issus, Alexander's ambitions knew no bounds. He went on to conquer Egypt, establishing his rule there, but he didn't stop there. With an insatiable thirst for conquest, he pressed forward into Mesopotamia, where he decisively defeated Darius at the Battle of Gaugamela, despite being heavily outnumbered. That remarkable victory in 331 BC marked the end of the Persian Empire and the fulfillment of the great Greek dream. But Alexander wasn't one to rest on his laurels. He pushed even further, venturing into territories that we now know as Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. With each battle, he emerged victorious, his undefeated streak continuing until his untimely death. Now, here's an interesting tidbit about Alexander. He wasn't just a military genius, he was also a master of public relations. He recognized the importance of shaping his image and ensuring his legacy. So, he brought along the finest poets, artists, and writers of his time on his campaigns. Among them were Callisthenes, his official historian, the renowned sculptor Lysippos, the skilled painter Apelles, and the talented engraver Pergateles. But that's not all. Alexander had a flair for self-promotion. He named his 2 sons Alexander and Hercules, no less. And he had a habit of founding cities and naming them after himself. Ever heard of Alexandria in Egypt? That city would go on to become one of the greatest in the world. In fact, he established several cities bearing his name, creating a map of his influence from Greece all the way to Afghanistan. You see, Alexander's careful curation of his image wasn't just about egoism. It was a strategic move to legitimize his rule and maintain stability. He aimed to merge Greco-Macedonian culture with Persian customs, marrying his generals to Persian nobles and promoting a multicultural empire. However, there was a cultural clash that proved too significant to overcome. When Alexander demanded proskynesis from his Greek and Macedonian subjects, a traditional Persian gesture of prostration, it was met with resistance. The Greeks and Macedonians reserved such reverence for their gods and refused to perform it for their king. Tragically, Alexander's remarkable journey came to an end on June 11, 323 BC, when he returned to Babylon, despite warnings from ancient astronomers to stay away. After an entire day and night of indulging in heavy drinking, he passed away at the tender age of 32. Though many theories abound, some speculate that he may have been poisoned. In the aftermath of Alexander's death, his empire fell into chaos. The wars of the Diadochi erupted among his leading generals, Ptolemy, Perdiccas, Seleucus, Antigonus Monophthalmus, and others, who vied for control over the vast territories he had conquered. These conflicts persisted for several decades before the empire he had built crumbled. Nevertheless, Alexander's legacy endured. He ushered in the Hellenistic Age, shattering the Persian Empire and bridging the East with the West. Greek language and culture spread far and wide, leaving an indelible mark on Eurasia. For over 2,000 years, Alexander has remained a towering figure in politics, religion, poetry, and popular culture, capturing the imagination of people from the Delhi Sultanate to Christian Europe and beyond.